Thanks for tuning in to Ahead of the Spread, the Closing Line Values weekly show, talking the latest in sports news, reviewing last week's picks, and taking a closer look at some of the upcoming matchups. I'm Tacoma Blend, back with a familiar face, Yes Way Jose.
What's up, TB? How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. We've got a whole lot to discuss this show, but first, I want to make sure we get that victory lap in. So many ebbs and flows with betting, but if you zoom out, tail our bets, we always finish in the green. January was no different, finishing plus 6.42 units on our Action Network verified college basketball bets.
TB, I got a question for you. As a sports betting novice slash amateur slash newbie, what's a unit?
Basically, everyone has their own standard bet that they make when they make a sports bet. And, to some that bet is $100, some it's, $5, $10, some it's 10,000. So basically to properly track performance, you set your standard bet, which is called a unit. And that allows you to have your go-to natural bet. And then when you're really feeling strongly about a specific bet, maybe you go 2 units or 3 units. The way that most people talk about unit betting in sports is, what would a $100 bet get you? For example, us being up 6.42 units, the standard bettor that has a $100 unit of betting would be up $642 this month. Pretty substantial and pretty good, and hope to build on that in February.
Why unit and not the actual amount?
Someone that has their standard unit of betting being $5 or $10 to be up $642 in a month of January would take an unreal, ungodly run in sports betting, whereas someone that is betting $500 in units to be up 642 is not anything special at all. Like I said, it's just a way from some of the big whales to people that are just casually betting to have effectively translate between the two, I think.
Thinking about it, making a correct bet is the important thing, not necessarily how much over the course of several bets, how much you're up and how much you're down. It's that your picks are hitting. If units is a standard measurement that allows you to really look at how successful are you versus did you just hit one bet that hit really big and everything else is going to lose her? It's
just a way to kind of communicate across the board with people and just see how they're doing performance-wise in sports betting.
Okay, that makes sense. Got it.
I was able to catch up with my good buddy Evan earlier this week to get his take on the Super Bowl matchup. Super Bowl is here, and I get to catch up with my good friend Evan, diehard Seattle Seahawks fan, knows all the ins and outs about the team, knows the matchup well. Great insight ahead of us here. So Evan, what does it mean to you to be back in the Super Bowl?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Okay. How important is it to establish the run against the Patriots?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
What challenges does New England's defense present?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
How do you feel about your role in this offense?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Do you think this could be your last Super Bowl?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Trivia, this is sports trivia. It's a segment about a fact you don't know. Probably trivia, something super significant. Probably.
What was the Super Bowl that had the safety to start the game? That paid out crazy money. I forget what it was, but I'll have to go back. It was Broncos someone.
Seahawks 28-10.
Dude, I'm doing Seattle alt lines to boost those profits because I think Seattle 14 plus.
I think so too, man. I don't know. I'm a homer, so I think it'd be a mistake for them to think that they can run the ball early. I think the key for the Patriots is going to be they're going to have to get the ball out of Drake Maye's hands quick and on early downs and be successful on those early downs, because I don't think if the game plan is what they've had success in all year, which is run early and move the ball in short yardage situations, I think they're going to find themselves in a lot of third and longs, facing a lot of pressure. I think if you have the success early, if they do run the ball well, then they will have success moving the ball. But I think they're going to have a hard time moving the ball on the ground.
Yeah. I think consistently they will. Maybe some plays here and there, but overall it's going to be tough sledding overall.
Josh McDaniel, he's been here before. He knows how to move the ball on a defense like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I just still think that they've been buoyed by
a terrible schedule. Man,
it's insane. We'll see though. I mean, they got here, so we'll see. But I do think that now that they're playing a really good defense. I mean, the reason, and everyone's like, well, they did it against the Broncos. They did it against the Texans. I'm like, CJ Stroud did it for the Patriots.
How many picks did he throw?
4 or 5, I think. I don't even remember. Like, literally lost track. I think 4 and a fumble. I think it's just like
Wilson is capable of coming back after throwing 4 picks.
Like I said, I think Seattle takes it, so that's what we're going to be going with. Excellent feedback there from Evan and what to expect from the Seattle Seahawks on Super Bowl Sunday against the New England Patriots. I agree. I think Seattle dominates. Sea Chickens cover with ease, alt line. Let's go with it. Cheers, Evan.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
All right, TV, did I really just hear you say that you're looking at did I hear 14 and a half alt line for the Super Bowl this weekend?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this is the type of game that could get away from the Patriots. And playing from behind is not something that team has done a lot, right? They've been pretty good at being in control of games, establishing the run game, allowing Drake Maye to, work, with a lead and, march down the field and put up extra points kind of thing. So I think that Seattle defense is for real. I think the pass game will do a good job at, relatively containing Drake Maye. And then the run game, I think, Ramondre and Travion, like, I just don't think that they're going to be able to find much room to breathe. And that's going to put them kind of, their backs against the wall. Counterpoint, I think that this Pats defense is good, but I think that they are going to see an offense that, I don't know how many times they've seen an offense this good this entire season. So, it's the Super Bowl, so that kind of makes sense. But, Smith and Jigba, Kupp, Raheem Shaheed, and then you got Kenneth Walker, you got Barner at tight end. I mean, this team and Darnold's just playing great. Like, so, I mean, I just think that I wouldn't be surprised to see Seattle strike first and early, get that lead. May with his back against the wall, and it's win or go home, Super Bowl type situation. So they start pushing the ball a little bit, forcing throws. Drake mid with more interceptions, maybe some sack fumbles. I could see the Seattle defense pinning their ears back and getting after them, putting them in good field position to extend that lead beyond moral victory, 7-point wins kind of thing. So I do think there's value on that 14 line. I think, 14 and a half, that hook might come back and haunt me, but you know what? Let's let it ride. Let's see what we got.
So wait, so 14 or 14 and a half?
Oh, damn.
Because I'll take 14. I'll take New England plus 14 and a half. I don't disagree with much of what you said there. I would just say getting good value on the possibility that New England's defense is good enough to keep it close. If close enough, I think the only thing that kind of enters my mind when I think about New England's offense is that Josh McDaniels is leading that offense. So he's been there before. He's had great success. Drake Maye is not Tom Brady, obviously, but I do think that he's capable of calling a game that really leans into New England's strengths and minimizes the risk. I think I saw a stat where Drake Maye has been sacked at least 5 times in the 3 playoff games, which I think does speak to you. I'm making your case for you, but does speak to turnover potential in those, it just increases the turnover potential, I think, when he's hitting the ground. But I do think that there's potential because of Josh McDaniels. And I also think that there's a small question mark, a lowercase question mark on Sam Darnold. Just because this is the biggest stage that he's ever played on. And you've got a good New England secondary, you've got a good New England defense. So I think there's a version of this game that is a little bit tighter and more of a defensive game than it is an offensive game. And I think that's what I'd be betting on is the potential that this could be more of a defensive battle than it is an offensive battle. And I think potentially it then comes down to which offensive coordinator, which offensive group is able to minimize mistakes and take advantage of opportunities. I do think the Seahawks have the edge there, but it could also be a low scoring game, and Seattle takes advantage of the opportunities and they still win. And it's like a 7-point game.
Like you nailed it. And that translates to sports betting strategies. In a game where you think it's a lower scoring game, the right move is to take the team that is getting the points. So that makes sense in this example for sure. Walter Sharp Football, his Twitter account posted some interesting tidbits on how Sean McDermott late in the regular season played more cover 6 against the Patriots, and that proved to be very successful with Drake Maye not performing well at all in that against that scheme. So 2 weeks to prepare.
They could make an adjustment. Like if that's, I wouldn't put it past that offensive group in New England, led by McDaniels to figure that out and get creative. They've had 2 weeks. This is a Super Bowl. You're pouring everything you've got into this. I don't know. Maybe they come up with a game plan that keeps the game close.
That's what makes betting these games so much more difficult than regular season stuff. You get these winner go homes. You get these, you gotta shake things up. Maybe you're saving something. Maybe players, these awesome players, these professional athletes at the pinnacle of their game get to, really shine. So I think, that's why, I just feel like this Seattle -4.5 line feels so bizarre. Feels like it should be 6.5, like closer to a touchdown spread. So that's why I'm not fully seeing it. So just, I personally grabbed it early at 3.5, which I'm pretty happy about. And then I have a few alt lines that I've got with, -6.5. And then I guess I have the 14.5. It's kind of talking.
I'll take that. Yeah, I like my chances.
I mean, it's 5-1. That's why it pays good, and that's why I like it, because I think that similar in basketball games, if you have a team that you think is just it's a decent sized spread, and you don't just think that they have a chance to cover, but to actually win outright. Sometimes you sprinkle a little bit on that money line and get a little bit back. So not going a full unit on 14.5, but I'll dabble a little bit in it. And when Darnold throws for 6 tutties, then okay, that's also an exaggeration. When Darnold and MVP Kenny Walker takes it home, then yeah, I'll be running, laughing my way to the bank, cashing that check.
That, by the way, that's your MVP is Walker.
Oh, there's been a lot of me talking out of my ass. I just think that this league loves their quarterback MVPs. So, and if Darnold, doesn't play terribly and the Seahawks win, I'd be shocked if he doesn't get it, right? Like, even if Walker gets, say, 2 or 3 touchdowns and Darnold gets 1, it doesn't throw like a bunch of picks, I still feel like I still feel like, Darnold's the MVP bet, but I
mean,
don't know.
well, I was just gonna say, what's the more likely scenario? Seahawks win because of Darnold, or the Seahawks win because their defense just completely shuts, or their defense gets the job done against New England? I think the defense is the likelier.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict an MVP off a defensive squad unless it's the game-saving play.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that the defense, does their job, puts them in good field position. Kenneth Walker gets a handful of touchdowns. I mean, yeah, I can see. I don't think they're good. I mean, I don't know when the last defensive MVP was for a Super Bowl. I kind of go back and look that up, but I don't know. I think the official closing line value, Super Bowl bet recommendations. I think Seattle -4.5 for me is the easy take. I know that you're trying to find a position, which is good to poke holes in this argument for the Pats. But if you have to just take the line as is, what side of the bet are you making here, Jose?
4.5. I'm taking the Seahawks.
If you had to pick one prop bet, Jose, what do you? Was there any that you were looking at? We talked about a couple of Drake Maye props. We talked about a couple of Sam Darnold props. Was there any other ones? Are you a heads or tails guy?
No, I think why don't we just? I mean, literally, why don't we just flip a coin?
That's the beauty of it. When they're charging like 105 to win 100 on those coin flips, I'm like, are you serious?
The Drake Maye 5 sacks is kind of an interesting especially if he's going into this game with 5 sacks in each of the last 3 games. It's hard to see them winning if Drake Maye is getting sacked 5 times. So that's an interesting place for me to think about. Okay, is that I would probably take an under on that if that were if that's where the bet was. If you go 4.5 or 5.5, if it were 4.5, I'd take the under.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of sacks. I feel like, he's going to be dropping back a lot, but I also think that he can scramble, maybe get a yard or 2 instead of getting sacked. So I think I'm siding with you on that. I think if I have to pick a prop, I think it's Drake Maye, either his over on pass attempts, because again, I just kind of feel like behind. Yeah. And 30, I think I'm seeing it at 30 and a half. So I'm probably going to play the Drake Maye over on pass attempts. And then also, I think the over on his on just getting an interception or one or more interceptions is, I mean, the VIG's not great on it, but I still think that's, you overpay and collect your money when he inevitably throws a pick. So those are kind of my 2 props.
Oh, you've also just when you texted me earlier, Drake Maye under 1.5 pass TDs.
Under 1.5. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's, I don't see that pass defense giving up 2 touchdowns to Drake Maye, but maybe a garbage time one, possibly. I don't know. I just see that. I don't know. I think highly of that Seattle defense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty aligned with you on all 3 of those, you know. And then it just comes down to can the Seattle offense cook?
Yeah.
Or do they do just enough? I think that's going to be the question: is Seattle's offense just have a banner day, or do they do just enough to pull it out?
We'll see. I just think Seattle will have a pretty good game plan to get down the field and score early, and that'll just game script, Darnold handing the ball off a little bit more, against a good Patriots defense, don't make mistakes. So fewer passes. And also I think Patriots want to control clock too. So if they happen to be in it, then, Stevenson and Henderson will get some looks. So I just think that the under on Darnold pass attempts is probably the best, actually more than even the over on Drake Maye. Hey, speaking of cooking, by the way, how about the Florida Gator fans roasting Bama and Bediako? Dude, picking back up on our conversation last week, it just was poetic justice almost, like just seeing this Bama team that it was good even without Bediako. Todd Golden, coming out swinging before the game saying, we're going to beat them whether they have Bediako or not. Which is honestly a pretty bold thing to say about a top 10, top 15 team all year long. Has kept it close, kept it competitive, beat some good teams. That's just, that's a pretty bold thing to say. They come out and they just dismantle Bama.
And he called it, and he called his shot, and then he fucking nailed it. Florida's on top of the tied for first in the SEC, right? Like perhaps the rumors of Florida's demise are a bit exaggerated. I don't think their ceiling is. Where would you put Florida's ceiling right now?
So their bigs are starting to really come together. They had some transition to the new roster that they have, and I think they just had to get some things figured out. Team chemistry in this NIL portal era, that's what's so crazy about this early season betting or games and betting. It's like you see these teams and you're like, what the heck? This is garbage. Like, for example, Florida lost to TCU. This TCU team that lost to New Orleans. What is happening here? I don't trust this Florida team. Clearly, their hangover from the championship season's here and it's real. But then all of a sudden they start piecing it together. I think they're a half game behind. Can you name the team that they're behind? It's kind of
A&M is 7-1 in conference. Florida 7-2 in conference.
So that's who it was.
Yeah, you're right. It's
A&M out of all the SEC teams, I think you could ask 100 people, maybe one would know that A&M is currently first place in the SEC. I keep saying Big 12 because I just think they're Big 12.
It's interesting because I guess their best victory is Auburn, 26 in Kempom, Auburn. The next behind that is 33 Texas, 40 Georgia. Only game against the top 20 team is a loss to Tennessee. So I don't know how much faith I put into Texas A&M. They've got Florida, they've got Arkansas, they've got Texas, they've got Kentucky, they've got Bama. So they've got a tough road ahead.
Yeah, it looks like their harder schedule is in front of them. They've played some of the more bottom of a pretty solid SEC schedule. But Florida, another game with Kentucky, Tennessee, Bama.
So
A&M.
Florida lost by 6 to Arizona to open the season, lost to TCU by 4, lost to Duke by 1, lost to UConn by 4, lost to Missouri by 2, lost by 9 to Auburn.
Yeah.
So those are the losses.
No really bad losses. The TCU one on a neutral court was kind of surprising. 6 games in after TCU is, Jamie Dixon's good coach, but just this TCU team looked a little lost early on, and they had it working, in over Thanksgiving apparently because they got Florida's number that day, and then outside of that, it's 4 top 25 losses plus a 2-point loss on the road to Missouri. So I honestly, Florida is a top 2 in both offensive and defensive rebounding. I think Michigan State's 1 on defensive rebounding, maybe up there on offensive as well. So that's just like I said about last Friday's game that maybe we should just skip talking about. No one wants to talk about it. Offensive rebounding matters a lot, and they're just good rebounding teams can take control of games when things aren't going their way most of the time, but clearly not all the time. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that Florida team.
Yeah, I mean they've got their at least right now, if you're looking at Ken Pom, their toughest battle is Arkansas at 25, Texas A&M at 27, Kentucky at 30, Texas at 33. So it's not like they've got, top 25 teams they're up, or even top 15 teams that they've got. Like they don't have a lot of chances, I don't think, against marquee teams. And the 3 top 10 teams that they have played this season, they lost all of those. So I see Florida like as a Sweet 16 team, but maybe not anything beyond that.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting again how that bracket shapes up. That's always what makes the March Madness so much fun. It's just like, you can see this path. You can see this team matching up really well against these potential opponents. So we'll see. Definitely want to see how they close out SEC tournament. SEC conference schedule, and also in the tournament before making any predictions. But just gotta love the fact that the coach called it out, because we're in an era where coaches just don't do that, really.
Yeah, but what's interesting? He did try to walk it back, which was kind of funny. He was like, what am I supposed to say, that we're going to lose? Like, he did try to soften up after that, because I'm assuming he didn't expect that it was going to get as much play as it did. Then it got the play, and then I think he backtracked a little bit. It just points to the absurdity, continues to point to the absurdity of this whole situation with, Bediako. I did see that the judge the Bama athletics donor judge did recuse himself from the case, which I'm sure is going to delay a decision on that. So, is this going to be the last time we hear a coach, say something that's pretty, harsh or damning about it?
I mean, I would hope not. I mean, I hope that, we get more of this. Like, I mean, he talked some smack and he backed it up, and, I think other fan bases are, like, I don't root for Florida, and I'm now like, it's Todd Golden. Good for you. Way to, let them know. And hopefully more coaches call it out a little bit, because, I just don't, hopefully they can, like we talked about before, hopefully they can get their arms around this to where there's rules and guidelines, and before it gets just too out of control and it's very fastly approaching that. But, I just love to hear the chants that those fans were going G League dropout again. Like these are.
I don't know. I don't know how big a burn that is. Like,
yeah, I mean, you don't think that sticks?
I don't know that. I don't think I don't know that I consider it a G League dropout. I don't think that I don't know. Did he leave because he wasn't going to cut it in the G League /NBA, or did he leave because there just happens to be more money available to him right now in this moment if he goes back to Alabama?
Well, optics, man. NBA, G League, college basketball. In terms of professional stature, I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong. Like, there's so many players in college sports probably making more than G League players, but neither here nor there. I loved it, and usually I advocate for some of the players, but as my stance on this, F that noise. Talk some absolute smack to Bediako. Fans, let him know. Nanji at Baylor, let him know. Give him, just give him the hardest of times on the road. I absolutely love to see it. I hope to see some more of it.
This does call into play the beauty of college basketball, where in a home arena, with a spirited student body, just going in sync on something like that can just be a lot of fun to be a part of and witness. Speaking of chippiness, let's go ahead and pull the Band-Aid off. Do you need a moment to brace yourself and
cut it?
You want to meditate for a moment and get to a zen place about those dirty Michigan State Spartans.
Dirty. You can I'll send you a tweet. There's a breakdown of all of this.
Just for everybody who's listening who can understand the reference there. Dusty May spoke to the press after that Michigan State game and called into question some of the plays. I think there was one against Fears, the tripping one against Fears, which did look a good look. It wasn't a good look for your boy.
For sure.
Izzo's point was, hey man, this is a fucking rivalry. Like there's stuff going both ways.
I can promise you can find 10 plus on both sides that were messed up or definitely chippy extracurricular plays. So again, not defending the Jeremy Fears leg throw towards Yaxel. What kind of name is Yaxel, by the way? The leg kick out towards Yaxel. I'm not defending it. It's Bush League. Don't do that. I love you, Fears, but you can't do that stuff. But I can promise you the, aggressive pick from Shetter or whatever, I don't know. There's a laundry list of them. You can go through. Everyone's just clipping apart, doing a foul audit of this game. So you can go through and see it. Once again, not defending the Fears, play, because Dusty does have a point in that regards.
That's just interesting to why call it out? Like you guys, they won.
Well, that's a little bit. That's a little Dusty May. Here we are. I mean, he's following very fast, following the footsteps of like a Bruce Pearl type of coach, where you come into the league, you start throwing your weight around, you start making enemies, and you make enemies fast. There is one coach in the Big Ten that I don't think any coach in the Big Ten likes, and that's Dusty May. And that's because he was going to players on teams, and before they even entered the transfer portal, reaching out to them to transfer and getting ready to hand them that bag. Now, this sounds like sour grapes from an MSU alum, and it partially is because we got worked, but there's no excuse for that. Even if he did tamper, he did. Even if he did tamper and got these players, it is what it is. You got to play the games on the court. We beat Kentucky. They bought their assassins. We whooped their ass. No big deal. You know what? We hosted Michigan. Spartans can compete in that game. They didn't compete. Kohler and Cooper got worked at the rim. We didn't hit shots. Just discombobulated as a whole. And so again, credit to the players on that team. Like the Wolverines got it done, and there's no nothing fishy about that at all. They won straight up. So,
do you feel like
but I do think Dusty May's a slime ball, by the way. Okay.
I'm agnostic on only because I think most coaches, there has to be like a slime ball. You have to have a little bit of slime ball in you, and that's just what the current state of college. But it just requires, if you're going to be successful, you got to have a little slime ball in you.
I agree there.
Yeah, and I think Izzo is probably a candidate to have like the least amount of slime ball in him.
He's probably that's the thing, is I'm in agreement with you there, where like I think that's just the nature of the business. Is like there's probably been some moments most coaches have done something that's not exactly ethical kind of thing. So
I just love it as an outsider. The rivalry that just add another log on the fire of this rivalry. Do you think that Michigan State came back, took a lead, I think with like 7 minutes to go, and then gave up like a 15-4 run or something crazy like that? How do you assess what happened to Michigan State here? Does it feel like an opportunity that slipped away?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Yeah, so like in this situation, I feel like a lot of times you see, issues that your team, the team that you're rooting for, where they fell apart. And there definitely were moments where Michigan State, just mental errors, like Cooper with multiple like moving screens, and just some really boneheaded plays. So, but I mean, you absolutely have to tip your cap to Michigan. They played so well. And Dusty May did his research and saw a lot of those, slip screen plays where Cooper at the rim kind of thing. And I don't know how many times Cooper and Kohler got blocked. I mean, that's a super athletic, Michigan squad. So what's crazy is going into the season where, the bigs depth for Michigan State was maybe a little bit of a question. Kohler had been coming on late last year, but Cooper, we weren't sure exactly what's his ceiling kind of thing. And they came together and they were just playing unbelievable basketball. Cooper, Kohler hitting threes, Cooper as a big down low, just getting it done, getting rebounds, tons of alley-oops, just overall great. And, Fears didn't play great, but Fears, I think he had 30 plus.
I think 31 points. It's hard to say. Oh, he didn't play great.
For sure.
But I think he was the only one who was consistent.
The digits. Or at least a quality game. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, pretty worried about it. Usually one game is not that big of a deal. Typically that's on the road. If this was at Chrysler, the first game, I'd chalk it up to road environment, Fear's not getting his calls like he normally does. And then winning at home when we play them next kind of thing. But, they came into the Breslin and they got it done. They coughed up, they built an 18-point lead, coughed it up, which again is the type of, Michigan team that I would say is a concern that I mentioned before. I still think when they're playing their best basketball, I think they're probably the best team in the nation. I think it's pretty easy to say that actually, even above Arizona. But I think Arizona plays a consistent game better than Michigan. So it'll be interesting to see if those two end up facing each other in the tournament. But I think now my Nebraska Big Ten bet is, after losing at home to Illinois, I'm a little bit nervous about it, but it is what it is. A lot of season left, still a softer schedule than what Michigan has, what Illinois has. Illinois comes to the Breslin next week.
Saturday.
I think. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Saturday. Michigan State is, I think, playing right now versus Minnesota. So, Michigan State has control of their destiny. It's just 2 losses in the.
Ken Palm's got Michigan State winning by 1 over Illinois.
So we'll see. I've watched a couple of this is usually where I have faded some Brad Underwood teams. I just feel like this is where they in conference play, similar to Michigan, to our conversations in the past where, I think that conference play has not been favorable to those two teams. The rough and tumble Big Ten has kind of taken a toll a little bit, but I think both teams have turned a corner, and it's kind of funny that it's both in the same season. Illinois, despite that Nebraska loss early, since then has just looked ridiculously good, arguably better than Michigan. I don't know. They both look unbelievably good. So it does kind of feel like an Illinois versus Michigan race, but there's still a possibility with Michigan State and Nebraska, especially with Purdue being how is Purdue the 5th best Big Ten team? They have, an All-American, 2 potential All-American candidates, just not playing up to snuff right now, but we'll see. They could play spoiler.
Purdue took care of business against Maryland. We talked about that last week, and they beat them by 30. So they really took care of business. They got another chance against Oregon on Saturday at home. So, if they take care of business there, then you probably got to feel pretty good. You got to feel better about where you are going into the Nebraska game. At Nebraska, and then a week later they're home against Michigan. So
so many of these teams have control your destiny kind of moments. Now, granted, Purdue, I think, has too many losses. They have 3, I think, in conference play. So, I mean, they're hurting a little bit more because they're they're a little bit behind, but they still, I mean, they can, it's not outlandish for them to win out, or not win out, but like win a bulk of their games. I mean, they were a preseason number 1 team. So honestly, I mean, this is one of the best Big Ten races you can get. Like, you couldn't really ask for much more of this. You know,
I think Michigan pretty much took Michigan's in a catbird seat at this stage, and it's theirs to lose. And I don't know if I see them losing it. I mean, they do have, starting, in a couple weeks, they've got a 4-game stretch where 3 of those games are at Purdue, neutral against Duke, and at Illinois. So that's probably, if Michigan takes care of business there, that Duke game is probably going to be a really fun game to track that week. That's on the 21st. But if Michigan can get through that stretch, it's Purdue, Duke, Minnesota, and Illinois. If they can get through that stretch 3-1, they're in the their conference is there. I mean,
I think it's point blank. If they play the way they did against Michigan State, like I can't imagine, and the way that they played at the Players Era tournament, right? The problem was, I don't know if it's focus. I don't know what, like, it's such a wild thing, college basketball. It's like the way that they played against Washington, Penn State, Wisconsin. Like, I know Wisconsin was shooting lights out, but Wisconsin's not that good. Like, and they're not bad, but like, you let them come in and just shoot lights out on you, and you had no answer. So, I don't know. I'm a little, a win is a win. And they've had all wins except one, and every team's going to have Arizona's going to lose at some point. Arizona's not going to finish the season. Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. But I mean, this is why they play the games. It's going to be very interesting. I would love to see Michigan State play spoiler last game of the season for Michigan, but we got to see some better results leading up to that. So but speaking of some Big Ten play, I got to go to Pauley Pavilion to see UCLA host Rutgers.
It's the last week pick recap, the part of the show where we see if we're broke.
I wanted to put some action on it, and admittedly, going into it, I thought, UCLA ought to cover. If you watch the pick of the day video, I talked about how UCLA, has not beaten teams in convincing fashion. It's been very 5-point, 7-point overtime, whatever. And so we're getting 13.5 with Rutgers. And I think I pointed out that I think Rutgers has gone like 7 straight covering the spread in Big Ten play, something like that. Like a crazy stretch. That's a long stretch of games. No respect for Rutgers, warranted because they haven't been done well, but they've kept. That's the thing with Big Ten. Like Michigan almost losing at Penn State, Michigan State going to Rutgers and going to overtime. Like it is. It's there's no freebies, right?
Well, and that's why I think you're gonna have, especially in the Big Ten this year, you're gonna have tough battles all over the place. Like nitpicking because you didn't beat Oregon by a certain spread is, I don't know, when you're undefeated in conference, or when you've got one loss the entire season and that one loss is a conference game. I don't know that looks as bad to me when you're talking about Michigan.
No, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you. I think the only question mark that I do have is, going back to that Michigan team, is like, will they play if they play up to their level the way that Dustin May has them playing? I mean, I don't even think Arizona really keeps it close, but it's just they have not played up to that level in a lot of games, and then they came up swinging against Michigan State, which was freaking great.
Not a surprise either. It's not
a surprise, but I mean, they haven't.
Why did Michigan State come out swinging? Like what?
100%. No, 100%. But it's been 8 years since they won in Breslin, and we beat them 5 years in a row. So I guess maybe maybe MSU thought it was expected a little bit, and they got worked over. So, but watching this back to the UCLA Rutgers game is great. Great place to watch a basketball game, by the way. Anytime you get a chance to go to Pauley Pavilion, I think it's maybe like a top 10 for me college venue for
it's hollow
basketball.
ground. It is. That's where Wooden.
That's right. John Wooden, man.
That is.
Yeah. So I thought Rutgers would keep it close, and they got
worked.
They got blown out. UCLA should have put up a hundo on them. It was in regulation. It was crazy. So missed on that one. Still feel as if the logic betting wise was pretty sound, especially because we had the rest advantage with the double overtime game against Indiana, a game where UCLA needed to rise above the middle of the pack of Big Ten play. They're not really on the bubble, but they're not in like a Michigan, a Purdue, a Michigan State, a Nebraska is in the mix of things. So you have to take care of business at home. And, the Indiana game gave them a little bit of fit. So, on the flip side, we nailed that Virginia pick, Virginia minus 12.5 versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had someone late scratch, so we got in once we saw that lineup update. So again, follow Tacoma Blend on Action Network and have notifications on for picks being made, because sometimes we get in a little bit before tip-off once we start to see lineups being made. But never really was in contest. I think midway through the first, they already covered, and it never was in question from then on. So part of our winning streak in January and early February, we got a bunch of picks going on right now for today's games. Very curious to see how those line up.
Who do you got in today's games?
Who do I got today's games? Great question.
Sparty's down 23-14 with 7 to go in the first half.
You get to see my pain live on this recording. Thanks, Jose. Honestly, getting on that live action, I think that they can probably cover that, right? I mean, it's probably, I don't know what the live line is at. I think it was 8 to start, so it's probably MSU minus like 2 or 3. Or MSU's falling apart after the Rutgers game, losing to Michigan, now fading here. Today, though, I had 4 games that I'm on. Army 11.5 versus Colgate. Decent Colgate team, but Army plays them close. I think that's good value. Currently, they're tied 19-19, so far looking good there. The other 3 that we have that are tipping a little bit later, or one's tipping off now and 2 later today. Georgetown minus 2.5, hosting Creighton. Creighton, I think, is a better team, but I think that this is one of those Georgetown matchups where they get it done, and they hosting Creighton. I think that's just where they will succeed here. And then again, two spots where it's just home teams against, better performing teams, or just better teams in general. Oklahoma State hosting BYU, getting 7.5, just too many points. BYU is a very streaky team. We've seen that against Kansas, against Arizona. They can keep it close, but as we talked about with some of these high profile, very high NIL rosters, where you're paying for some shooters, you're paying for some playmakers. Diabonsa at BYU, they take some fadeaway jumpers mid range, and you're like, we need buckets, bud. What are you doing? And that happened in that Arizona game when they were down to, I think, their final shot. Diabonsa took a questionable look, and it was like, now's not that time, man. This is winter. This is where we win this game. So I think Oklahoma State has played well enough. We saw that, Jose, at that Iowa State game when we were in Vegas, when we were sweating out that big parlay. And then the final one, Clemson. I got Stanford plus 3.5 hosting Clemson. Stanford has a freshman that is just, I think their point guard has just been playing lights out. I don't think that, Stanford is, tournament material, probably fringe, but, Clemson on a West Coast trip, I think, on a West Coast trip in the Atlantic Coast Conference game. Oh gosh, what a state of affairs. Anyways, Stanford plus 3.5, Oklahoma State plus 7.5, Georgetown minus 2.5, and then Army plus 11.5 is the 4 games for the day. So we're gonna go 4-0. You heard it here first.
If I'm gonna pick one to miss, it's probably BYU, Oklahoma State. Although BYU is coming out. Their last 2 games are against Arizona and a kind of a tight loss to Kansas. So they're kind of at a inflection point, like a pivotal point in their season. They've got Houston coming up on Saturday. So that by the way, I know that you are high on Kansas this year. It's got to be satisfying to see Kansas kind of taking care of business the way you kind of anticipated they would, right?
I mean,
or are we putting an asterisk on it? Because if you're not going to put an asterisk on it, I'm going to put an asterisk on it.
Yeah, I kind of want to steal the asterisk from you.
I mean, is Peterson? Can Peterson stay on the court?
That's the issue.
Two games. He's played 2 full games this season. 2 games where he played the whole game, including not against BYU, but the game the other night against Texas Tech. So and that game against BYU, he sat out the second half. So because of right. So
I think he came in late, right? I think I can't remember.
No,
I think
he was lights out in the first half. And then had cramping in the second half. And then he did play the full game against Texas Tech, although he had a kind of a weak second half. Even though he did hit a couple shots, including a 3 to tie it there at the end. So when he's in the game, he's a playmaker and he's awesome, but he's hardly in the game.
He's Lamar Jackson, maybe? Is he Lamar Jackson of college basketball? Yeah, I mean, Peterson looked, to me, 3, 4, 3, potential number 1 picks with Boozer, is it Diabanza, right? I don't know. I might be missing.
That was the hype going into that Kansas BYU game, was 2 potential number 1 picks going heads up. I don't think either of them looks like a number 1 right now.
Oh, I think Peterson, to me, it's just a matter of interest. I think he's playing with his food. Like he's already NBA caliber,
I mean, if you're an NBA team and this homie can't stay on the court, like, is that your number 1 pick?
Can't or won't. Like, it feels self, policied. I don't know that that's any better. Like, I don't know that helps.
Yeah,
but I mean, these NBA teams draft on talent and promise. I won't be surprised if Peterson's thinking he's NBA ready now and what am I doing here kind of stuff and proving it.
Then why are you here? Like, I don't know.
I guess I don't know that dynamic at all. Like, so I probably shouldn't speak on it. But when Peterson is in, he just dominates. To me, Boozer looks really good. I think honestly, all 3 will translate well to the NBA. If you watch them, they're very smooth, very balanced in their play. So I mean, I do think that all 3 of them will do well in the NBA.
Is Pete not in that conversation?
Me, who?
Koa Pete?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to not have one of the number 1 team in the nation player in that conversation. So yeah, I think Koa Pete's up there, but this is one of those things. Like you see these, you see the chatter online, you see the mocks, you see the NBA analysts talking about who's going one, and Pete's not in the conversation. So you just naturally assume that he's not, but his play kind of dictates that he probably should, right? Like looks really good out there. So I would say he's the 1B to those 1As.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
But again, we'll kind of see come June. But so I think we nailed the Kansas pick, though. I think we both talked about how Kansas gets it done. They won and they covered. Pivoting to our MAC.
I just want to make one more point about Kansas. I'm not going to buy on Kansas until Peterson shows a little bit of consistency here. Like he's a playmaker and he changes the game potentially when he's in, but he's got to be in, and he's hardly playing.
I've got this fly just hovering over this. He's trying to get some screen time, dude. I think your point is valid. I think that when I saw some of the early Peterson games, and I think they talked about his scrimmage and stuff, he just looked that number one pick, quality caliber player, to where he could take over games. He could win games on his own, that kind of style of player. And so that's where I was like, all right, Kansas might be back, So that's where I got excited about them. And that's why I picked them to go to the championship game, go to the Final Four. So I have a couple futures on them from September or whenever. But your point's valid. If Peterson,
yeah, I mean, I think that's where their ceiling is, right? Like, I think it's a potential Final Four team, but I don't think it's a lock.
Yeah. Pivoting to some MACtion play, we talked about Kent State and Akron. This is one of those games that a lot of big college basketball fans really bookmarked for a minute, and it kind of fell a little flat. Akron, dominated, won by I think 17 points. Kent State just hasn't had the they haven't been quite the team that we were expecting them to. In fact, Miami of Ohio, not Florida type, has kind of, filled in those shoes. It's going to be so interesting to see how that pans out. This team in the MAC that no one wanted to schedule apparently. So they have a weak non-conference schedule, but took care of business. What if they lose to Akron in the MAC championship game? Do they get an at-large bid over, I don't know who's on the bubble right now. Like do they get in over Texas A&M? Like it's going to be so interesting to see what happens with that. I built that one up. I thought that was going to be good, and it was a little underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, Akron covered. What was the line going into that?
It was like 11. So,
and they won by 17. So
yeah. The third game that we kind of talked about last episode was Auburn at Tennessee. Auburn, brutal non-conference schedule, lost to multiple different number one teams when they played them, obviously. And they are on the road playing the Volunteers, and didn't know what to expect with this one. In this pretty difficult SEC schedule, you've got to kind of take care of things at home, but also sneak one on the road. And didn't know if this was going to be one that Auburn could maybe take one from the Vols, but I think we both chatted about this one and thought Tennessee still gets it done despite the upside that Auburn has shown, and that's what happened. Tennessee wins. When they won by, I think they won by like 8, and they covered as well by a couple. So
yeah, I mean, just one thought on Auburn is it just kind of feels like that's a team in transition right now. They're I don't know if rebuild is the right word, but they've gone through a coaching change. quasi coaching change, I guess. So it's understandable that they might not be at the top this season, and that's just kind of how I view that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, I think we chatted about this right when Bruce announced he was gone. I was ready to fade Auburn, in their big non-conference games and even in their conference play over under. And I'm honestly very surprised at how well they've actually done given the abrupt change and the Nepo baby coach that filled his shoes. So, our three picks of those were pretty much on point. All three picks won and covered. So we were our thoughts, our process on that was right. Well, let's move ahead to next week. We've got 10 games that we've circled that look, pretty appetizing, and honestly, that Saturday slate is ridiculous.
Looking ahead to next week's matchup. We're looking ahead to the games. We hope the picks are better this time, or my wife is gonna leave me. She's really gonna leave me. She's really gonna leave me.
Just a lot of rivalry games, a lot of big matchups, a lot of conference seeding, NCAA seeding implications on the line. So, but because of the amount of games, let's kind of go through some of these with some quick hits on this. We'll start with Friday, UConn at St. John's. I'm actually going to take St. John's in this one. What's your pick for this one?
I don't know. As much as I hate to pick UConn, I don't know that I see them slowing down at all.
It's probably the right move, but I just think that, UConn has not won convincingly. I don't know. There's something about it. I think that this is one of those marquee games. I think it's one of those UConn drops one and then finishes the season like undefeated kind of thing. Games get dropped. St. John's is the type of team that can do it. This is one that's circled on the calendar for months. So St. John's, one of my favorite games to watch every year, Duke at UNC, the number one college basketball rivalry game. Like, they're undisputed, just the game. Not as much. What's that?
I said, according to ESPN, the undisputed biggest rivalry in sports. I think Duke's easily going to win this one.
I don't know. I'll take Duke in this one as well, but I think this one is going to be closer than people think.
That's because it's a rivalry game.
Yeah, I mean,
at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, this is, and it's not that Carolina doesn't have the talent; they have lapses. Now, we'll see. So I think Duke gets it done, though. To your point, Tennessee at Kentucky. You know my thoughts on Kentucky. That being said, Kentucky's owned this series, so it's a tough one. I'm actually gonna take Kentucky in this one.
Has Kentucky righted the ship in any way?
Sort of. Not really.
Coming off a nice win against Arkansas, but before that, a loss to Vandy. They've got wins against Texas and Tennessee in January. I'm just not convinced that Kentucky's solved anything, so I'll take Tennessee in this one.
I like it. I like when you pick the opposite of me. Yeah. Something about it. Staying in the SEC, Alabama at Auburn. You know what? I'm gonna go back with Auburn on this one. Heading into the season, would have picked Bama, 9 out of 10 times. I just think that maybe the Bediako situation's not really solving and maybe kind of creating too much noise. So, and then also Auburn gets things done at home. Bama on the road, it's too streaky. Auburn covers. Auburn wins and covers.
I'm aligned with that.
Florida at Texas A&M. We talked about this. Those are the top two SEC teams. Just did not see A&M up there.
Their schedule's been soft. I think Florida's playing with a little bit of swagger right now. I think the vibes are high. I've got Florida in a laugher on that one.
All right, I'll go Florida. Begrudgingly. Houston at BYU. I'm going BYU on this one. I think, love what Samson's doing, but I think BYU gets it done.
I'm going to take Houston.
Ooh, yeah. I know you like the Cougars.
I think BYU's licking its wounds right now, and we'll see. if they can come out of this little slump that they're in. Losing to Arizona, number one Arizona, and 12 Kansas. I don't know if you can call that a slump or just losing to teams you're supposed to lose to, but it's a tough stretch regardless. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Their only win is a rivalry game against Utah at home. But they've lost to Texas Tech, Arizona, and Kansas around that. I guess you could say they might be due to come out of a slump, but I think Houston's just going to be too much for them.
I don't know when these games are on throughout the day, but there's going to be, multi-view screens on YouTube TV. That's for sure.
Yeah.
This one hurts a little bit. Illinois at MSU. In the past, MSU has matched up very well against some of these finesse 3-point shooter teams. That's why I think that we've taken care of business against Michigan in the past. Illinois has looked just so dominant lately. Michigan's looked dominant. They dominated us last Friday. Illinois wins. I'm picking Illinois, unfortunately.
I didn't love what I saw from Michigan State against Michigan, and I think there's cause for concern for Sparty.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And then what else we got? We got
a little Mountain West. We got a little Mountain West action.
I put that in there for you. Boise State at New Mexico. Honestly, this week is probably the most boring Mountain West schedule. Like, this is the best one, and it's a good one. It really is. Like, who do you got in this one?
I got New Mexico. New Mexico's playing well. A little bit of a dark horse in the Mountain West this year, but I think I'm going to take New Mexico. Boise State is not having the greatest season. So I'm gonna go New Mexico on this one.
I think New Mexico gets it done as well. But I do think that's going to be a fun one, and that kind of screams at least one overtime type of game to me. So
totally,
if you're getting points on that one, I feel like you maybe take the points, but pencil that one in. I feel like that's one to watch. It might be one of the late night games compared to the rest of the schedule. So we'll see.
Yeah. Eric Odin's done a nice job coming from UCSD over to New Mexico, and he's got New Mexico playing really well. I have been impressed with that team this year.
Yeah, in Boise State, when they're playing well, they had some big surprises non-conference, and they've competed pretty well.
Boise State's got 5 losses in conference.
Oh, really?
San Diego State, Grand Canyon twice, Utah State, and UNLV.
Oh.
Now, those are all good teams. UNLV is not, but San Diego State and Utah State is the cream of the crop in the Mountain West, and then Grand Canyon it's like Grand Canyon's like playing against a monkey with a handgun. Like, they're just like it is just the Wild West against Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon's got wins against San Diego State and Utah State, and they swept Boise State. Like, Boise State's having a rough season. Granted, it's at the hands of some good teams. I think New Mexico's definitely got the edge there. Then we got Arizona, Kansas on Monday.
Yeah.
What a good opportunity to see what Kansas is really made of, and whether your boy Peterson. What's the over-under on how many minutes he plays? Is what I'm probably most interested in that game. Great
point. Let's see, truly, I'd love to know the over-under on Peterson minutes this game. I'm taking Kansas in this one. I think that they come together with it. This is a quintessential, what do you have? What do you got? They're not the Big 12 leaders, but Kansas isn't, but they could potentially make a play at the Big 12. Kansas won the Big 12 every year for the longest time, and now they're not at the top anymore. So I think maybe Peterson sees that this is going to be a marquee game where he should be on the court a little bit longer. So that's what I'm banking on.
He'll choose to play this one. He'll make a choice to stay in this one. I don't think this is Arizona's first loss of the season.
Okay, let's see where we go with it. Final game: Purdue at Nebraska. God, I don't even want to make a pick.
I know, right?
I don't know what to do because Nebraska's just hasn't looked great against Illinois. Went to Michigan without their two of their best players, and they almost won. They won most of that game. They were ahead at Michigan for most of the game. Blew it, lost, but they weren't full strength. full strength now, coming off of 2 losses. This is what you get, Purdue, like the preseason number 1 team, I think, probably. So Nebraska, let's go Nebraska.
I'm taking Nebraska.
Oh, man, I really thought you were going Purdue there. Okay.
Nebraska's blemishes are losses to Michigan and Illinois. Like, those are top 5 teams. And, took Michigan to the brink. I think Nebraska's the better team here. Purdue's got to show me something before I'm going to put my name behind them.
It's just wild. It's absolutely wild betting against or picking against that Purdue roster. It's like, it's a good team. Like, so it's just, I'm with you. We're both on Nebraska, but it's just crazy. As NCAA basketball season hits the home stretch, my buddy Just Be Golfing swings by to give us a look at the PGA Tour in action.
Yeah! Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tea Talk. I'm Justin from @JustBeGolfing, here to give you some closing line value on some golf bets this week.
Tea Talk. Tea Talk. It's time for some Tea Talk. Tea Talk. It's the part of the show where we talk golf stuff. Golf stuff. Yeah!
All right, we got the Waste Management Open this weekend in Phoenix. We know it's going to be a huge party. The person I think who's going to be celebrating the win there, Scotty Scheffler. Bovada is offering him at plus 225 to win the whole thing. Let's remember, he won it in 22. He won it in 23. He tied 3rd in 24. Last year, he tied 25th. But he did win 12 out of his 36 starts last year, and he's already won once this year at the American Express. So he's just coming in hot. He's the best golfer in golf. This is like buying life insurance. You just should make this bet. Our second bet is actually at the Waste Management Open as well, and that is for top Asian player in the field. We are looking at Ryo Hisatune. Now, this might be a new name to some of you, but he did finish tied 2nd last week at Torrey Pines behind Justin Rose. He only has a couple people that he's really competing against in this event, and that is SW Kim and Hideki Matsuyama. So at plus 1100 to be the top Asian player in the field, I like Ryo Hisatune, and I'm just going to keep saying it because I think I got it right. Our last bet is a kind of a season-long bet. We are looking at Justin Rose finishing in the top 20 at all 4 majors. Now is the time to make this bet. Justin just won last week at Torrey Pines in a dominant fashion. He's been crushing the Ryder Cup. He tied 2nd at the Masters last year. He seems to be playing better at 45 than he's ever played in his entire career. He's only won 1 major, but I do expect him to compete in all of these events this season. Those are 3 quick bets, and if you're going to Phoenix, have a great time. Be safe. Hit them straight. All right, bye.
It's the part of the show where we talk golf stuff. Golf stuff. Yeah!
That's all the time we have for Ahead of the Spread. Thanks so much to Evan, Just Be Golfing, and of course, Yes Way Jose for joining me this week. Keep an eye out for more picks of the day coming throughout the week, as well as our show next week. Cheers.
Ahead of the spread. Trivia, trivia. This is sports trivia. Thought we forgot about the trivia, probably. Trivia, trivia. Did you get it right? Probably. Probably. Trivia. Did you get it right? Probably.